Evening, back at the workshop and doing loads of shit. As you'd have seen in the last video, I need to take the gearbox off this, but I'm kind of putting it off until the last job because I can't be fucking bothered. I really can't. It's not that hard, but after not that long ago putting everything together, it just chafes my ass having to take it apart again. So I'm doing other things that need doing first. So this is my completed, modified fuel tank cover. It's ugly as fuck, but it do the job. Basically, it's using a bit of the old tailpipe from my Impreza drift car as the extended bit. That is genuinely a bit of jerry can lid, well, jerry can bottom that I made the lid out of. That hole fits the OE bung for the wiring, and it's covered in seam sealer. Like, that's why it looks ugly, because I have literally slapped a load of seam sealer on it, because that's the only reason for it. It's meant to stop noise and fumes getting in the cabin, really, and not look too shit. And then just give it a quick blast of silver. So ugly, yeah, but effective, yeah. Clears the pipes perfect, so job done. This is those two batteries that I'm gonna run, and because like I said, I don't really like running the single one because I don't think it's enough, just because there's so much electrics going on in this with the two electric water pumps and whatever. You have to run them in, even though I've already done it, I can't remember if they call that series or parallel. Parallel, I think this is. I don't know. Basically, series, or the one to double the voltage, is like positive to negative and blah blah blah. I don't want that. But to do it to double the capacity, to basically just work as two 12-volt batteries, well, one giant 12-volt battery, you connect positive to positive, negative to negative. So what I've done is, well, I've made these little connections. Let me show you. I've only not done them tight at the minute, just so I can mock things up. Basically, that's the connectors on the fuckers. I've literally cable tied it together just so I knew the distance at the moment. I made this, well, two of them. Yeah, it's my usual recycling. The metal bits, the strips with two holes, are actually clamps at old compressor housings on a turbo. Don't know what turbo, I just looked for the ones with the right bolt hole, you know, distance. And I found some. So they're compressor housing clamps. These spacers are spacers that hold wastegate actuators onto whole set turbos. Are very useful. I've literally done a few spot welds on each to hold it into one, and that is heat shrink to, you know, to stop electrical short circuity type issues. And yeah, I just use two things there. I still need to add, I'm going to add a washer on top of each, of course, just to help it sit down nicer. And then, yeah, positive and negative straight off there. So ideal. And yeah, for me, fairly neat. This is for that. It's an intercooler, a Garrett one, a Garrett core one. And if anyone knows anything about intercoolers, Garrett cores are supposedly the best ones. They're fucking expensive. This one is, well, as you can tell, it's very thick. It's 150 mil thick, so what's that, 5 inches? It's thick as fuck. It's not massive diameter, it's not small. It's, yeah, it's a fair size, but it's super thick, which is what I want for that, because I want to run one on this purely because it makes it simple and lighter. And personally, I think because of, it's not really about airflow, it's mostly on these about it not heat soaking. So I wanted one ideally fairly thick, because there's not a massive amount of surface area anyway, because the thick ones tend to not heat soak too easy. So yeah, I found this is used, and I need to change the fittings because they're too small. Well, that one arguably would be okay. These two, I only need one, and they're a little bit small. But yeah, it's big. An equivalent size, when you measure sort of, imagine it was just a tub of water, a tub of liquid. The core size is very similar to like a 600 by 300 by 75, typical 600 brake intercooler. It's just this one's kind of got half the surface area and double the thickness. But for what I want, it's ideal, I think, personally, especially because normally, I would always be buying a Chinese one and a Chinese core, and they're never going to be as good as a fucking swanky Garrett core. So, and even this, like, even the fins are like absolutely mint, apart from a tiny dink on that one. So yeah, it's very, very good condition. And weirdly, well, not that weirdly for me, because if you've seen my previous videos, I always buy stuff like that. This is an ex-RAF part from an aeroplane. It's not a jet aircraft this time. It's from what do you call them? Tucanos, the advanced trainer aircraft. It's like propeller plane. And yeah, it's a cooler from one of them. I don't know if it's like air conditioning cooler or what. They're like turboprop, but I don't think they have intercoolers. And if they do, I expect they're bigger than this. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's made by Garrett, and it's a really good size for this once the ends are made bigger. I'm not going to run like big boost pipes anyway. Maximum would be like 2-inch. I mean, that's 40 mil. And even GI Yaris ones are 40 mil. And they make plenty of fucking power on those 40 mil boost pipes. So, and this is only going to be 300, 350, just mega torque and mega response. But yeah, I'll probably change it to like 50 mil pipes. But yeah, and that cost-wise was less than a typical eBay Chinese jobby. But it's a proper Garrett core, which, fucking hell, they cost thousands. So, decent deal. Just got to make it fit. But I really, really wish I already had a mock-up engine and gearbox in there, just so I can make everything around it. I might see soon if I can get a set of mounts off Thomas, just so I can put a mock-up engine in it. Just so I can lay out where everything's going. I have finished off the twin battery setup, the lithiums. So that's nice, super secure, brilliant. Just got to mount it in there. And also my fancy turbo trumpet came in. That'll be for the other car, not for this one. It's too small, but it's perfect for that. Very nice bit of kit. It's actually a Cosy part from Graham Good Racing, but ideal for what I need. The new battery setup's in place, all secure, and it's way better than before. It's easier to access, it's neater, it's more effective, it's everything. The new fuel tank cover is in place. I've not wired the fuel pump in yet, but the rest of it's all in, and that's how it sits, and it's much more effective and neater than ever before. It just right. And yeah, you'd never have got this right first time, because you'd have, never expected any of this. This is all development. People who build a car and expect it to work first time, good luck. It just don't happen like that. That's why so many people, you see them building, and then, they get it ready and go straight to their first event or something, and the cars are always shit. They are always a letdown. It's just crap. You need to do development. Well, I bit the bullet and started on gearbox removal. And to be honest, so far, I'm pleasantly surprised. It's gone way easier than I expected. And you know why? And to be honest, I kind of forgot, but I realise now, and I'm glad. When I built this, I've said it loads of times while building this car and others, I try and do it in a way that makes it easy to work on. I don't like cars that are cunts to work on. So I laid everything out so it's quite easy to work on. And it has been a fucking dream, considering how busy it looked in there. Literally all I've had to do is remove the 2 boost pipes, which is obviously super simple because I made sure that it was. And yeah, unclip a couple of things and yeah, there's loads of room. I should be able to reach all the gearbox bolts, everything, the top ones, and get underneath and do the last ones and remove the shafts and everything. And it should come out fairly easy. I shouldn't need to remove any water lines. The only wires I've had to remove is like starter motor and earth strap that goes to the gearbox. Quick update, because the car's now in the air. I think I've done everything from the top, including all the bolts that hold the gearbox to the engine. Now I've just removed the bolts that hold the drive shafts on. That's one good thing about having this rather than the Toyota box and stuff, is proper bolted shafts rather than the pushing ones, which makes it a lot better to get on and off. Fucking pushing ones are shite. And yeah, they come off easy. I mean, as long as you've got like a tool like this, where you put 8mm into your wrench, then you can just get them all off. I didn't even have to turn the wheel to get to any of the bolts, or 6 bolts on both sides accessible without even turning the shaft. I mean, you could turn the shaft easy enough, obviously just turn the wheel, but don't even need to. It's fucking easy. I do like how these cars with this engine makes it way more DIY than the standard engine, and certainly the bloody K-swaps and stuff. It makes it a lot easier. So now, all I need to remove is undo the hub nut to take that shaft completely out. This shaft should be able to stay in place because, you know, now it's unbolted from the box, it can just stay there. I have to undo that strut bar, which is 2 bolts and is super easy. And I will undo these 2 arms because, well, it's easy and it's easier to get things off. It's mostly easy this. It just allows me, if I undo the 2 bolts that hold the bottom suspension, I can just move the whole hub out of the way. And A, that makes it easy to get the shaft out, which obviously I need to do. And B, it just gives me maximum room for the gearbox to come out, which I think there's room. I'm pretty sure there will be, because obviously once I undo the other mounts on the gearbox, so the top one I've loosened but it's still there at the moment, and there's the rear one because there's 4, 1 on each corner basically. The engine should tilt down this away. I'll put something underneath it just to be sure, you know. I put a transmission stand under it just to make sure before I do anything major. But I reckon, because there's a fair bit of room between even the chassis rail as it is now, it should be alright for clearance. And it's off. There it is. Honestly, that's easily the easiest gearbox I've ever taken off any car. Really is. I thought it'd be, I mean, I really wasn't looking forward to it because I know how much of a cunt they can be on a lot of cars. Especially transverse mounted ones. Longitudinal, I don't mind so much. Transverse, there's often so much in the way and so little room between chassis rails and stuff, sometimes or often. It's just easier to drop the fucking engine. But no, on this, piece of piss. If I was to do it again, which no doubt I will, there's a couple of little things I would do different. The one thing I would mostly do is put a strap or something, an adjustable one, between the engine lift hook and, I don't know, the strut brace or something, just to give this a bit of support. I might again do it in a minute, just because now three of the four engine mounts bolt to the gearbox. That side bolts to the engine, so the engine's sort of now hanging. Well, if it wasn't for the jack supporting it, would be hanging off that one side, which is a bit much. I undid the turbo to downpipe flange and undid the wastegate brace, just so when the engine tilted down, it wasn't going to try and snap any exhausts or anything. There it all is, looking good. But yeah, see, even the rear mount bolts to the gearbox. You know, there's nothing apart from that one on that side that actually bolts to the engine on these. So yeah, I reckon if I do it again, I'll put something to support the engine so I didn't have to use the jack. Another thing I've done while I was doing this, I decided, is I've ordered a steel sump for this, as in the Beetle sumps, because they got a steel bottom rather than aluminium. And this one, A, is still leaking from the turbo oil return, and B, I noticed where the oil temp sensor is, that is literally about to either fall out or start leaking badly. It's fucked. So I just ordered a new one, because on eBay a steel bottomed Beetle sump is £52 delivered or something. And bearing in mind, some companies, Volkswagen specialists shall we say, try and sell that exact same sump as their uprated sump to stop people damaging, you know, destroying their engines on speed bumps and whatever by knocking the bottom off the fragile standard one. They sell that same sump for like £200. It's £50 from a normal place, and even obviously they're going to make a good profit, so £200 ridiculous. This is the bit that broke off the gearbox actually. So, you know what, I think this is the end of this video. And to be honest, I don't reckon I'll have another video after this before the new year, because it's only a few days away. It's, well, technically it's Thursday morning now. I'm recording this at about 1:30 in the morning, but I'm going home now. And yes, only a few days till the new year. I'm going to be here before New Year, but there's no fucking way I'm going to get a video out before then. So I'm going to go now. So hope you liked what you've seen so far. I know it's no action, but as soon as I get these fuckers back on the road, there will be some action. So hope you liked it. Hopefully have a good new year, and I will see you next year, which sounds like a long way away, but it's a couple of days. So see you later.